Most women think menopause begins when their period stops. But here's the truth: almost no one is prepared for. According to the SWAN study, 75% of women enter the menopausal transition while their cycles are still completely normal. No missed periods, no dramatic warning, just subtle changes that almost everyone mistakes for life. And this is the part that will surprise you. For many women, the transition begins in their mid-40s, but a significant number enter it in their late 30s, and a smaller group even earlier, without a single person around them realizing what's happening. Imagine this for a moment. Your hormones begin to shift. Your brain starts sending different signals. Your stress tolerance changes overnight. Your sleep fractures at exactly 3 a.m. Your emotions feel louder, sharper, less predictable. Your heart reacts faster to things that never used to bother you. Your temperature rises by a few degrees and settles as quickly as it came. And yet your cycle is still on time, which means you assume, it's my job, it's my age, it's my stress level, it's just a phase. But it isn't just a phase. It is the biological beginning of menopause, unfolding years earlier and far more quietly than you were ever warned about. This is the part of women's health that was never taught in school, never explained in routine doctor visits, never shown in movies, articles, or social conversations. A hormonal transition so powerful that it reshapes your sleep, your cognition, your metabolism, your skin, your emotional rhythm, and your sense of self, yet so subtle at first that almost every woman overlooks it. If you've been thinking, something is changing in me, and I can't put my finger on it, you are about to understand why. What you're about to learn is information every woman should receive by the age of 35, yet almost no one does. This is the hidden beginning of menopause, the one nobody talks about. And today, you will finally see it clearly. Let's begin. Menopause does not arrive suddenly. It is not a switch that flips, nor a moment you wake up and realize that everything has changed. Instead, it is a long, gradual shift in how your hormones behave, how they interact with your brain, your metabolism, your mood, and your physical rhythms. The part of this transition that most women misunderstand is the timing. Menopause, medically speaking, is the moment when you have had 12 months without a period. Everything before that is perimenopause. And perimenopause can last several years, sometimes even a decade. What matters most is that the symptoms usually begin early, long before anything noticeable happens to your cycle. Imagine your hormonal system as a beautifully synchronized orchestra that has followed the same composition for decades. One day you notice the rhythm feels slightly different. A few notes arrive earlier than expected. One instrument softens, while another becomes louder. The composition continues, but you hear a change. That is what early perimenopause is, a shift in rhythm long before anyone else would hear the difference. Your body is not failing. It is transitioning into a new phase of life that every woman eventually enters. To understand early menopausal symptoms, you need to know which hormone changes first. Most women assume estrogen begins dropping immediately, but the earliest and most consistent change is actually a reduction in progesterone. Estrogen does not fall steadily in the beginning. It fluctuates. It rises higher than usual in some cycles and drops lower than expected in others. This fluctuation is why your early symptoms feel inconsistent, unpredictable, or difficult to explain. Progesterone, however, begins to decline more steadily. This hormone supports emotional steadiness, high-quality sleep, and the calming of the nervous system. When progesterone decreases, even by a small amount, your internal world begins to feel different. You may feel less patient, less grounded, and less emotionally resilient, even when your life has not changed at all. Your menstrual cycle can remain perfectly regular during this stage. This is why so many women feel confused. Everything looks normal on paper, while something feels undeniably different inside your body. You may already be experiencing the earliest signs of menopause without recognizing them. These symptoms do not begin with missed periods. They begin with more subtle shifts that influence your sleep, your emotional state, your cognition, your temperature regulation, your digestion, and the way your body interprets stress. You might notice that your sleep feels lighter, or you wake at 2 or 3 in the morning for reasons you cannot explain. You might fall asleep easily, but feel as if your brain refuses to remain quiet during the night. You may wake feeling both exhausted and alert at the same time, unable to settle back into rest. This is one of the earliest indicators of declining progesterone and fluctuating estrogen, which directly influence the brain regions responsible for calming your nervous system during sleep. Your period may still be perfectly regular, yet the experience of your cycle feels noticeably different. Perhaps your cramps have changed, or your flow feels heavier or lighter, or your emotional state before your period feels more intense. You may notice spotting or changes in the timing of your symptoms, even though the calendar remains consistent. Many women also describe a sudden increase in irritability or anxiety. This often catches them off guard, especially women who have never experienced anxiety before. You may find yourself reacting more intensely to situations that once felt manageable, not because you have changed, but because your hormonal pathways are interacting differently with your stress system. You may notice changes in cognition. You search for words that once came easily. You forget why you entered a room. You feel less focused or more easily overwhelmed by multitasking. These experiences are not signs of aging. They are directly connected to the fluctuations in estrogen that influence neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine. You may begin to feel subtle waves of warmth, especially in crowded rooms or during emotional moments. These are microflushes, small temperature fluctuations that appear before classic hot flashes begin. Your skin may feel drier, less elastic, or more reactive. Your hair may feel thinner or more fragile. Estrogen influences collagen production and oil regulation, which is why these early changes become noticeable. Your digestion may shift. You may feel more bloated, more sensitive to specific foods, or more prone to digestive irregularities. Hormonal fluctuations influence the gut microbiome, inflammation pathways, and the speed of digestion. Your menstrual cycle may shorten slightly, often by a few days, which is one of the clearest early signs of hormonal shifts. Your libido may change in subtle ways. You may feel less spontaneous desire or notice that your desire fluctuates more unpredictably. These changes are biological, not psychological. Each of these signs can appear individually, or several may arrive together. What matters is that they form a pattern. That pattern is the beginning of early perimenopause. The early symptoms of perimenopause are not guesswork. They are well documented across decades of research. The SWAN study found that approximately 75% of women experience early menopausal symptoms several years before their menstrual cycle becomes irregular. This includes sleep disruption, mood changes, cognitive fog, temperature sensitivity, and digestive changes. This research makes it clear that symptoms precede cycle changes, not the other way around. The North American Menopause Society confirms that early perimenopause is defined by the presence of symptoms, while your menstrual cycle remains regular. This definition is crucial because it explains why so many women feel confused. You can be in early perimenopause even when every period arrives exactly on time. The British Menopause Society reports that as many as 60% of women experience new anxiety, increased irritability, or noticeable sleep changes during the early transition. These emotional and neurological symptoms are not personality issues. They are the result of fluctuating progesterone and estrogen levels that affect neurotransmitter pathways. Long-term data from the Women's Health Initiative shows how hormonal fluctuations influence multiple systems throughout the body, including the brain, metabolism, cardiovascular function, and temperature regulation. The research demonstrates that many physiological changes begin years before the final menstrual period. Together, these scientific sources create a consistent message. Early perimenopause is a real, measurable, and predictable stage of hormonal transition. Your symptoms are not random. They are not imagined. They are not caused by a lack of resilience. They are rooted in well-documented biological changes that millions of women experience. You may not have recognized these early signs for several reasons. The first is that they resemble modern life. Waking at 3 in the morning feels like stress. Brain fog feels like overwhelm. Irritability feels like burnout. But hormonal fluctuations amplify your body's stress response. What feels emotional is often physiological. The second reason is that your menstrual cycle remains regular. Most women believe that perimenopause begins with cycle irregularity, but early perimenopause is marked by symptoms with a normal cycle. This is why early signs are so often dismissed. The third reason is education. Women are rarely taught how early perimenopause begins or how subtle its first signs can be. The cultural narrative focuses almost entirely on hot flashes and night sweats, which appear much later in the transition. The early changes are internal, gradual, and easy to misinterpret. Inside your body, a complex hormonal recalibration is taking place. Progesterone begins to fall, which influences sleep quality, emotional regulation, and nervous system calm. Estrogen begins fluctuating rather than declining steadily, which causes unpredictable shifts in mood, temperature regulation, skin texture, libido, and cognitive performance. Your stress system becomes more reactive because estrogen and progesterone interact with your brain's stress receptors. Your sleep-wake cycle becomes more fragile because progesterone no longer supports deep, restorative rest. Your temperature regulation becomes less stable because estrogen influences the hypothalamus, the area of the brain responsible for sensing heat. Your digestion changes because hormones influence gastric motility and inflammation. Each system feels slightly different, but all of these changes share a single cause: hormonal transition. If you are between 40 and 55 years old and you recognize several of the symptoms described earlier, especially when your menstrual cycle is still regular, you are likely in early perimenopause. You do not need blood tests to confirm this stage, because hormone levels fluctuate dramatically from day to day. What matters most is the pattern of your symptoms. When sleep changes appear without stress, when anxiety feels new or unexplained, when your temperature becomes more reactive, when your cognition shifts, or when your cycle begins shortening slightly, these are reliable indicators that your hormonal transition has begun. There are several steps you can take immediately to support yourself through this transition. You can begin tracking your symptoms rather than only tracking your cycle. This allows you to see patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. You can create consistent sleep routines and reduce stimulating habits, particularly caffeine in the afternoon, because hormonal sensitivity increases your nervous system's reaction to stimulants. You can consider magnesium supplementation to support nervous system regulation and sleep quality. You can incorporate strength training several times a week, which supports metabolism, mood stability, and bone health. You can reduce alcohol, particularly in the days before your period, because alcohol amplifies hormonal symptoms and disrupts sleep. You can also consult a clinician who is educated in menopause care. Early perimenopause responds well to both hormonal and non-hormonal treatment options, and many women find that the right support dramatically improves their quality of life. These steps are not solutions for everything, but they help your body adapt more smoothly to the transition. You are not losing your mind. You are not losing your resilience. You are not aging prematurely. Your body is not malfunctioning. You are entering a normal, predictable, biologically designed phase of life. This transition does not mean you are becoming less of yourself. It means your body is adjusting to a new hormonal environment. Once you understand the early signs, uncertainty begins to fall away. You recognize that your symptoms have meaning. You understand that your experience is shared by millions of women. You realize that you are not alone and that your body has been communicating with you long before anyone taught you how to interpret its signals. You deserve clarity. You deserve education. You deserve to feel grounded, informed, and calm in your own biology. If this documentary helped you understand the early signs of menopause and gave you clarity about what your body is going through, I would love to invite you to become part of our community. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the Midlife Balance Institute, and turn on notifications so you never miss new content. You will find all of the scientific studies mentioned in this video, with working links, in the description below so you can explore the research for yourself and go deeper whenever you need to. You don't have to navigate this transition on your own. We're here to support you, to guide you, and to help you feel informed and confident every step of the way. Thank you for watching.